Hello everyone, welcome to the 160 Literary and Jury Charge. We're going to start off with air pollution. Ready? The air we breathe is filled with millions of particles of foreign substances, referred to as pollution. These substances are so minute that we don't even know we are breathing them. Smoke and gas are contributed to the air through fires, residential, industrial, and forest. Gas is also created by the deterioration of plant and animal remains. Nature itself is a large contributor to pollution. Sandstorms, dust storms, and volcanic eruptions introduce elements in the air that cause pollution. Pollens, mold, and bacteria are shed from plant life, and the wind lifts them into the atmosphere. Human beings, through the industrial process, have added factories and vehicles to our civilization which emit smoke, gas, and chemicals. The word smog was coined by joining the words smoke and fog to describe the addition of solid particles in the air. In recent years, people have contaminated the air even further through radioactive fallout from the atomic bomb. The greatest threat now to air pollution is the waste created from nuclear power plants and nuclear bombs if it should escape into the atmosphere. All right, moving right into some jury charge, and this is civil. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at the conclusion of a case such as this, it is customary for the judge to instruct the jury on the law pertaining to the case. It is the exclusive province of the jury to determine all questions as to the facts involved, and it is equally the exclusive province of the court to determine all matters of law. In every case, there are certain standard instructions given to jurors, outlining them, or to them, the general principles of law which apply in all civil cases. There are also certain special instructions which the court gives to the jury, which apply particularly to the case on trial. I will first proceed to give you those special instructions which apply particularly to this case, due to the circumstances involved. Both of the plaintiffs have alleged that they were engaged at the time of the accident in removing forms in the course of their employment from a certain concrete manhole adjacent to the gas mains maintained and controlled by the defendant gas company in this case. They have alleged that an explosion took place because of the carelessness and negligence of the defendant company, and that as a direct or approximate result of this explosion, the injuries received by them followed. The injuries and damages which are claimed by the respective plaintiffs are these. The plaintiff Roberts claims that as a proximate result of the accident and explosion in this case, he received first-degree, second-degree, and third-degree burns on his face, both forearms and both hands. It is for these injuries that Plaintiff Roberts claims monetary damages from the defendant. All right. I've got an article here on Rev Up, Lose Weight, Feel Great. Here we go. Ready? You've gone on diet after diet, yet still haven't shed those unwanted pounds, or worse, your weight is actually going up. The problem could be your metabolism, your body's operating speed, which determines the rate at which you burn calories. If you have a fast metabolism, you'll burn calories quickly and easily. If your metabolism is slow, a greater portion of the calories you consume will be stored in your body as fat. But don't give up. Research shows it's possible to rev up a sluggish metabolism so you can burn calories and lose weight faster. Here's how. Number 1, reduce the fat in your diet. It's not just the number of calories you eat that counts, but their source. A diet containing large amounts of fat is actually more fattening than a diet of identical calorie count composed of proteins and carbohydrates. Why? Fat slows your metabolism more than these other food groups. Researchers have estimated that your body will burn about 23 calories to convert 100 calories of carbohydrates into fat, but to turn 100 calories of dietary fat into body fat, you burn only about 3 calories. That means you'll store more calories as fat. So a diet rich in proteins and carbohydrates will cause your metabolism to move faster than one rich in fats. Fats are also more calorically dense than other foods. 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories, while 1 gram of protein or carbohydrate contains only 4. Thus, a small serving of fatty food, such as cheese or nuts, can contain even more calories than a large serving of a low-fat food, such as cantaloupe. Number 2, choose the right carbohydrate foods. Because carbohydrates cost more than fat for your body to store, they're important to your diet, but all carbohydrates are not alike. Some simple carbohydrates, such as table sugar and honey, and foods that contain them, such as candy and cookies, can be diet destroyers because of their high calorie count, plus they're nutrient poor. Simple carbohydrates also stimulate the production of insulin, the hormone responsible for moving sugar out of the bloodstream and into cells. When you eat sugar and sugar-rich foods by themselves or in large quantities, insulin levels can rise sharply, forcing blood sugar to drop afterward. The results for some people, hunger and fatigue. Complex carbohydrate foods are your best choices. These include vegetables, fruits, and whole grain breads and cereals, all high in vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Number 3, stick with regularly scheduled meals. Have you ever tried to diet by skipping breakfast and having a tiny lunch only to blow your diet by binging at dinner? If so, you recognize that meal skipping sets you up for an eating fest when your natural hunger asserts itself. Skipping one meal and overeating at the next could encourage your body to put on weight. Researchers have demonstrated that laboratory animals that consumed their whole day's rations at one time became fatter than animals that ate several smaller meals, even though total daily calorie consumption was equal for both groups. This pattern may hold true for people as well. So stay with 3 diet-sized meals per day to keep your metabolism humming along steadily. Number 4, consume adequate calories. When you severely limit your calories, dipping below the 900 per day level, not only do you drastically shortchange yourself nutritionally, but your body perceives this food scarcity as a starvation threat. It reacts by slowing down your metabolism to hoard energy. The lower your calorie count falls, the more slowly your metabolism runs. So very low calorie diets actually make it harder to lose weight since your body begins to burn fewer calories as you eat less. A sensible low fat diet of at least 1,200 calories a day is preferable. Remember that whenever you reduce your calorie intake, you may forego vital nutrients. So when you diet, you may want to take a multivitamin mineral supplement that supplies 100% of the U.S. recommended daily allowances, RDA, of needed nutrients. Number 5, exercise regularly. If you exercise in addition to dieting, you will reach your goal more quickly and easily. Not only does exercise burn calories while you work out, but your metabolism remains high after you've finished your workout. So you continue to burn calories at a higher rate for a few hours. Exercise also makes it easier to maintain your weight because it increases muscle mass. Muscle uses more calories to maintain itself than body fat does. So the higher your muscle to fat ratio, the more calories you'll burn even when you're not moving a muscle. Follow these exercise tips. Choose aerobic exercise because it gets your whole body in high gear. Aerobic exercise gives your metabolism that needed push. Schedule your workouts. Make an appointment with yourself and keep it. If you decide you'll exercise when you have time, you never will. Pick activities you enjoy, such as walking, pedaling a stationary bike, working out to an aerobic class. They're easier to stick with. Exercise at least 30 minutes every other day. Otherwise, your body won't reap the metabolism boosting benefits. If you stay with this new way of dieting, you will begin to look, feel, and think like a different person. You'll lose weight and keep it off, and you'll be more in control of your entire life. All right. I have some jury charge on punitive damages. Okay. All right. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you find that the plaintiff was unlawfully evicted and obliged to leave the premises without notice by reasons of the wrongful acts of the defendant, then you may consider whether or not, under all these circumstances, the plaintiff is entitled to recover what are known as punitive damages. Such damages are by way of punishment, that is, to punish the wrongdoer for his wrongful and unlawful acts, and deter him from committing like offenses in the future. You may take all the facts and circumstances into consideration, and then award such an amount for punitive damages as you feel would be fair and just under the circumstances. Punitive damages are allowed only when one does an act wrongfully and maliciously. In the contemplation of the law, where one interferes with the rights of another knowingly and purposely, if at the same time, he knows it is wrong and unlawful, then it is malicious. Punitive damages should not be excessive and should be reasonable. They should be fitted to all the facts and circumstances in the case. It rests entirely with you whether or not you should award any such damages. If you do, they should be fair and reasonable. The jury are the sole judges of the facts in the case, the credibility of the witnesses, and the weight to be given to their testimony. In anything that the court may have said throughout the trial, or anything that the court may say in the instructions, the court has not intended and does not now intend to express any opinion upon the facts of the case, upon the credibility of the witnesses, or the weight to be given to their testimony. Furthermore, the court instructs the jury that you have a right to consider all the evidence in the light of your own observation and experience in the affairs of life. All right. I've got some actual testimony, straight matter. Okay, here we go. I remember that night, I think November 4, 2012, and David showed up at my doorstep. He had just come back from Lubbock, and he had this look in his eyes that was horrible. He looked so scared. He had this red stuffed animal dog in his hands. I could tell something was wrong, but I figured he was just tired, so he wanted to stay and spend the night. A month later, I was coming into my house with him, and I was questioning him about past relationships because he always told me that I was his first real girlfriend. I thought that was kind of strange because most people have some kind of relationship of one kind or another. I remember he read off a list of names of girls he had known or gone places with that were kind of significant. I will never forget him mentioning the name Adrian because that name kind of stuck in my head. I guess I was asking a lot of questions. For some reason, I felt like I needed to ask about Adrian. He held back a lot, and we just went inside my house. We just decided to walk inside of the house because we had been sitting inside the car. When we got inside, we got into a big fight because, as always, he was trying to make me study for the SAT test, and I didn't want to. We fought for a while, and at the end, when we stopped fighting and had calmed down, he just looked at me and said, "I have something to tell you that is really important." I kind of knew what he was going to tell me just by the way he looked at me. He told me, "You haven't been the only girl in my life." He said, "I have had sex with someone else before." I just looked at him in shock, and I asked, did he mean he wasn't a virgin when he met me? And he said he was. I think that made me feel even worse because that meant that he lost his virginity to me, but that he had been with someone else since then. All I could do was question him and scream and blame myself for everything. I remember reaching out for this big brass thing, this brass rod, and aiming for him and trying to hit him because I was so upset. He took it away from me and tried to calm me down because I was screaming so hysterically. He was trying to protect himself from getting hurt, but he was also trying to protect me from hurting myself because I kept ramming my head against the walls, and when I was on the ground, I kept ramming my head into the floor, trying to crack my skull. I didn't want to to live with what he had said to me. I felt like I had lost everything. My head wasn't working the way it should, and my family wasn't in the best financial state. And now he was telling me the one thing I prized more than anything else, and it was taken away. I don't think I was even thinking. In fact, I know I wasn't thinking. I screamed at him, "Kill her, kill her." He was so scared that he wasn't about to say no to me. I was still banging my head against the floor. All David wanted to do was make everything better. It seemed like him agreeing to do that was the only thing that calmed me down. David promised that he would do that, and he never has broken a promise to me before. On December 2, 2012, we spent basically the weekend trying to get a hold of Adrian because I think we were both acting in passion. I think we expected to get caught really fast because we didn't spend much time thinking about what we were doing. The only time David planned anything was when he sat me down at his house for about 5 minutes to calm me down and throw stuff in a bag. The plan was for David to break her neck and sink her body to the bottom of the lake. About 12:30 a.m. on December 4, 2012, we were at his house. David had said he would meet Adrian at about 12:30 a.m., so we were running late. We were driving my green Mazda Protege. It seemed like David put together what he was going to do really quick because he really didn't have much time to think. The day prior, he had spent more time calming me down than thinking about what he was going to do. I would wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares. I couldn't even look at his face because I thought he was a different person. I had horrible pictures running through my head about what happened between him and Adrian, and they made me feel really sick. We met her at about 1:30 a.m. on December 4, 2012, at her house. David had called her at about 10:30 p.m. on December 3rd, 2012, and it was prearranged for her to come out. She thought she was coming out so they could have sex again. She came out to the car and got in. I was hiding in the trunk and David was driving. I remember being really scared because at a time like that, when you kind of know what's happening, you really don't trust anyone. I remember wanting to turn back. I was afraid to move, so I just laid still in the trunk. David later told me that he felt the same way, that he wanted to turn back and take her home, but he was afraid of what I would do or say if he turned back. David usually always had a gun of some sort on him. And that is it. So we really don't know the outcome. I think we can assume what the outcome was, but that's it for the actual testimony that I have. So that was from an actual transcript. So, okay, well, that concludes our literary and jury charge for the 160 class. Have a great day.